Welcome to the PP1 Podcast. Back at it, talking Vancouver Canucks, hot food takes, just Ryan and Ted, jamming out, enjoying life.
I feel like we need a new opening track.
Oh, frick. And now, like, we're 0 for 1 in the count. You're muted. Dun, dun, dun. Welcome to the PP1 Podcast. I don't know. Why are you muted?
I don't know. Am I still muted?
What's on?
Am I muted?
I don't know what happened, man. I don't know. Just out of nowhere.
Yeah, we were just talking.
Can't hear a thing. I didn't hit anything. Something messed up. Anyway, I will get into it. You just keep figuring things out, and I will be visually trying to figure things out while I can. You can be joined on our show, Facebook and YouTube. You can comment. We'll answer if you decide to comment here. We're on the Dean Blundell Network. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. We're on, I don't know. We're a little bit of everything. We're on Google. You can come get us on Google. Ted's having some problems here, and I don't know why. So I'm going to mute him, and I'm going to unmute him. Are you there still?
Yeah.
No, this is uncharted territory. Of course, everything is supposed to go amazingly well, and then it doesn't. So now I got to go in and realize, start talking.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, damn. Okay. This is fun. We're learning. We're learning. It's okay. It's all right. Something clearly happened to my sound, and that's okay. Let's just.
So I'm only muted.
There we go. That was on me.
Muted to you.
That was on me, folks. Maybe you know what happened? I know what happened when we went live, and I did a hotkey. It automatically went to mute, and so let's just
the old mute key. What I was saying was, I feel like we need a new intro. Our intro is like it used to be so much better.
It lacks. I have that old one, but maybe we just need to record a new one. Maybe put some money into this. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we bring enough after the intro that we should be equaled in the intro. You know?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Right, sure.
Like wallpaper.
Like, yeah, just roll down the wall. That's wallpaper, all right.
Oh man, this is probably the most disjointed intro.
I think that's what makes the show, though. Yeah. That's what makes the show. Speaking of disjointed, you guys probably saw me on Twitter that I bought in pretty hard yesterday for the whole JT Miller. He's on the move.
I thought you were going to say Bitcoin.
No, I'm not going to touch that yet. I'm still trying to figure out how they can accept me into that. With the one you sent me, Coinbase, is that the one?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, they still haven't approved me in there. Nick Mercandante. He was there, and it's like I got boothed.
So what was the deal with Nick Mercandante? Was he just a complete fake account? Like, was he just out there?
No, he's like, people know this guy, but I guess he's done this type of thing before, and said that JT Miller's on the move. Stay posted. And then he sent another one. Yep, things are heating up. And then literally his next was like freaking, I don't know, like focaccia bread that was heated up in the oven, and he cut it open. Like, screw you. I'm like on DMs, like talking to Dollywall, got Rob Fay, like, hey, if something goes down, like, you guys good? And Rick's like, I just made a post about Brendan Gaunce. Do you think that there's a trade going about JT Miller? I'm like, yeah, but Rick, sometimes stuff happens.
Well, it came on the heels of it came on the heels of Friedman's comments, right?
Yeah,
like sort of putting, I mean, and it's just comments, it's just thoughts, right? But it does make mention of the fact that Jake Muzzin could potentially end up on long-term injury reserve, freeing up almost an identical amount of money to make a trade for a guy like JT Miller, and it makes sense for him to go that way. And then the other guy that was sort of the name that was thrown in there was to, obviously a guy like Luke Schen's name is going to come up, right?
Right.
To go back, if familiar with Toronto, I mean, they'd be knowing what they're getting in him. He wouldn't be miscast in his role. I mean, he'd be playing exactly as like a 6th, 7th defenseman over there, and doesn't replace Muzzin, but could be a serviceable player on the back end for them.
Well, he is for the Canucks, right? Like makes nothing and brings everything. The downside is because he brings everything, he's being relied on to bring everything because of all the injuries they've had. Well, we'll get into that in a little bit, though.
And he's got a ton of. I mean, he's got a Stanley Cup winning pedigree now, right? I mean, yeah, guys like Mike Keane made a living of bouncing around to different teams for playoffs runs simply because he could be there to tell the guys what it takes, right? I mean,
he's like a dude. He's like, we say, like, he's a guy. Like before the show, he would be a guy, right? How we would before we came up with a segment.
Just some guy who has 2 cups.
He's just like, he's a guy like, hey, I'm Mike Keane. I'm showing up for duty. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Stanley Cup. Here you go.
With different teams too. That was the crazy thing about Keane.
Yeah. Absolutely unbelievable. He was one of those
was it 3 cups with Keane, or was it?
I
know he had one with Montreal, one with Colorado.
Was it one with Colorado? I thought he had both, but anyway.
I'll just look it up here. Mike Keane, Stanley.
So anyway, as I was saying, like with the Nick Mercandante, if I've said that right.
Oh, one with Dallas as well. Dallas, Colorado.
Oh man, lovely. So he's got a nice collection. He's got some color to his jewelry.
Yeah,
that's good for him. It's good for him. I mean, we're getting closer to the big deadline day. I think this is going to be one that we're going to want to pay attention to. And after the last few games with the Canucks, like they need to know that they're not a playoff team, even if it statistically says they still are. Because you see, I mean, Quinn Hughes, when he was gone, thankfully they salvaged what they could and actually got some points. But then they lose Burrows. He's got, I think, a couple broken ribs, and someone was saying something about a shoulder. Jack Rathbone went down last week as we were on the podcast with Daniel, which, I mean, that was happening. I didn't want to get into it because that's a pretty deep conversation. And like OEL goes down in the same game as Burrows did. And then you just start thinking, like, they don't have anyone.
They don't have anything.
Like nothing.
With a full roster.
Bowie. And again, I'm a Madison Bowie truther, and I believe he's like my Luke Shen. Like, you guys, like, play the long game on this guy. 5 to 7 years from now, you're gonna love that name.
Yeah, he could be
5 to 7 years ago.
27-year-old Nolan Baumgartner breakout.
Or like Brendan Gaunce. Like Brendan Gaunce, have you seen what he's been doing? Like, he's with Columbus. Didn't even know he's in the NHL. He has 3 goals in his last 7 games. Toronto and Buffalo he's been scoring against, which, again, one of those teams matters. But like Brendan Gaunce, I mean, he didn't suck before, but wow, like kind of Neverland, and comes back and he's relevant, and like people are talking about him.
Yeah, I mean, well, cool. he had that 57 game season. Well, he played 21 year with the Canucks. He had a 20 game season. Then he played like 57 or 58 or something like that and didn't score a goal. Like, it was, I mean, he wasn't put in like the most amazing situations, but
like you'd screw up somehow and it goes off your ass or something.
Yeah. I mean, then he gets sent back down the next year and then he's back up again. Here we go. Plays 37 games, pops 4 goals. But I mean, he had the potential to put up points. I mean, we always thought that Brendan Gaunce was going to be that guy that would walk in when he was drafted, play center, big body, 6'3", 215.
Yeah.
And be able to anchor a third line and have a little bit of scoring touch. I mean, he was a good player in junior, right? I mean,
yeah.
He was a guy that was probably a 2nd round pick, outside shot at a 1st, but was going to play in the NHL, right? Like you weren't drafting him thinking that he was going to develop into like your 1C. But you drafted him knowing that he was going to be an NHL, and it didn't pan out. It didn't pop for him. So he's 27 now. Looks like he's
I'm a late bloomer, Alex. And a double jeopardy, I'm gonna bloom.
Yeah, he's got 5 goals and 5 points in 7 games, and
that's rad.
Looks like he spent some time in Sweden playing for
KHL. I
think. Yeah, so for the AHL, looks like he's playing in the Swedish Elite League. But whatever, he's stuck with it, and he's back now. He had 16 goals. In 39 games playing for the Lock Monsters, or for the Cleveland Monsters, sorry. So, Yeah, man, whatever. He's out there. He's making a go of it. So it's funny though to see yet another
Yeah.
failed Canucks
Oh.
player that wasn't good enough for the NHL.
Yeah.
It's just like Benning's gone, right? So they're just like continuing to try to throw salt in the wound, right? I mean,
and
you
then
got all
just
these
you
guys.
get poked. You're like, hey, remember this was also another thing. Like, there's gonna be probably 3 or 4 more. Like, we're gonna see who else is gonna make the show. Like Sven Berchi is gonna have another renaissance.
Oh, he's gonna bounce back. Yeah, he's gonna bounce. He's gonna have like a re-breakout season,
like a
as a
21 goal,
20
and 20. Like, and we're just gonna laugh. I'm like, oh, so that's great.
I
Nice.
remember I bought the book, it was called Draft Year, and it was, I can't remember who the writer was, and just it followed Brendan Gaunce like all the way through.
I
All the way
remember
through his final junior season, through the draft, the combine, and all that stuff, to like sort of what it's like from the perspective of a player during a draft. It was kind of a cool book. It was a cool read.
How
could have been anybody. And then we drafted him. Vancouver drafted him, and I was like, whoa, this is so cool.
This hits home.
Yeah.
I like that. Maybe I'll have to borrow that off you, and in exchange, you just finish the book I lent you.
You could just borrow it and never return it, and that would be okay.
That's pretty much what's happened in my case.
The funny thing is, I know that I owe you that book, and I've had it forever. The funny thing was,
I want you to read it. I want you to read it.
I think you moved the book into my storage unit when we moved.
Oh, frick. I'm not going to see it till like October now. I'm not going to see it till like week 4.
Yeah.
It's like, the Browns are playing Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I found the book. But you know what? They don't have a bye week till week 9. So
I'm going to have to leave it now.
Yeah, it's
because I only read on Sundays when it's not football. Have you tried this beer, by the way? I know this is super off topic.
No, never off topic. So who are we looking at? I see this is Grim Reaper, Bad Tattoo. Okay.
This is Bad Tattoo, our boys, Ballhawks podcast.
Yes. Move up so I can read.
It's the French Toast Porter. It's a treat.
I haven't bought beer in a little bit. We've just, like sometimes like you get busy, and I mean beer hasn't been on my mind, but I feel like I've needed a beer the last week or two, and you keep forgetting. Like, I just need to go to the beer store and get a good beer. So I've been on like sparkling. I've been on like my Soda Stream and my coffee, which is treating me very well. Speaking of coffee, you guys have seen this on Twitter and Instagram already. I went after dropping my kids off.
Swear to God, if you talk about that spicy chicken sandwich again.
No, we're good. I'm on a break with that. I went to Arby's today. I went to Starbucks, and I was, after dropping the kids off, it's like 8:30. I don't work till 9, so the Starbucks is like right across the street, so I go there maybe once or twice a week. Try not to as much as possible because we have a really awesome coffee machine at work. So anyway, order my Venti Irish cream Americano, and I get my Venti drink once I pay for it, right? They hand me the cup. Have a great day. You too. Take my, your obligatory sip as you go. Oh, it tastes like a little bit sweeter, but you're not you're not really. Like when you have like that first sip and you're like, oh, maybe they made it slightly different this time, because it happens, right? Sometimes you get a drink, especially if you drink Tim Hortons, and you're like, oh, sometimes you just get it tastes different. Maybe it's the last cup, like maybe it's burnt or too much cream. Maybe they put 3 cream if you're one of those double people. Don't do that. Anyway, I did not get my drink. I did not. What I got was this abomination that you can get and ask for at a coffee shop, but in no way is this a coffee. A Venti sugar cookie oat latte, quad shot, 6 frickin' pumps of sugar syrup, blonde roast. So, let's. And then I think, is it 2 non-dairy or whatever that means? Some psychopath behind me ordered that. Now, again, I'm thinking free drink because there's no way someone should pay for that. But that's like an $8 coffee, folks. Maybe $9. And the only part of coffee that's in there is the word quad. That's it.
Well, there's the blonde roast, right?
Nah, you've bypassed all those things at that point. You've just
somebody told me that there's more caffeine in a lighter roast than there is in a darker roast.
No, that's something that I have to remember. Listen to Brenton on tours, his journey for Java, and I think he brings up that, and that may be true.
So I just need to know if I'm right.
We can just ask him. Brent, if you're listening wherever you are in the U.S., by all means, check in with us, and we'd be more than happy to entertain you. So anyway, some crazy person ordered that, and it didn't go viral. It went viral as far as like that's
bad.
crazy,
That's
right?
bad.
So
Yeah.
me being like, everyone's, why don't you just take it back? I'm like,
You are correct. Light roast have more caffeine than dark roast. There you go.
Look at
Nailed
this.
it.
Who? Nancy. Thanks, Nancy.
Thanks, Nancy. Love it.
Look at this.
Nancy,
See?
coming to my rescue.
I love it. Thank you so much. So people ask, like, why didn't you just take it back? I had to still pick up cream for work, like, because we were out. It was after the week, so this was Tuesday after the long weekend. So our creamer had passed its due date that we all felt comfortable with, like a week and a half after. So anyway, go pick that up, and I'm having a few steps. I'm like, yeah, this isn't. And I read, I'm like, I'll nurse this, right? It might take me all morning to drink it. I know this is a long story. So anyway, it's like 11 o'clock, and I get halfway through this thing, and again, I'm doing my stuff at my desk, and my heart just starts like murmuring a bit. I'm like, nope. Like instantly, I just, you have that moment where like, I'm in danger. I pulled that thing out, and I remember for the next like 10 minutes, I'm like, this is messed up. So just so you know what your body will actually, because I don't put sugar in coffee anymore. I haven't for a long time. I mean, again, if I have like a Starbucks latte, yes, I know there's sugar in there. But on my normal cup of coffee that I have every morning, or my Americanos or whatever, no sugar. And yeah, this thing took me for a dip. So just so you
cream?
know,
Are you a cream guy or
not normally?
just black?
Not anymore, which is so weird. I used to be.
Sometimes I'll add like a stevia packet.
Yeah, I get that.
That's it. Yeah.
No, like I'll do like
because you probably could have done just poured your coffee and then dumped portions of this.
And
other
that's what
coffee
people
into
were
it,
saying. I'm like, I'll tough it out. And I realized like halfway through, I'm like, this could kill me by the end of the day. So it wouldn't.
It didn't kill you, but you maybe have diabetes now.
Yeah. Someone put that. I said it's all the diabetes rolled into one for this coffee. So anyway, that was my little experience for that. Lots of fun, lots of craziness. So I thought you guys would all enjoy that. Fun and craziness. You know what tomorrow is, right?
Tomorrow's Thursday. Oh yeah, that. Damn, those guys are on a heater right now.
They are on a heater, which is interesting because they are the Flames.
Are they the Flames?
You know why the Canucks are going to win that game tomorrow?
Because there's Canucks playing for both teams.
Also true. You're 100%. Ding ding. I don't even have a. Do I have a?
You play to win the game.
Nope, that's the wrong one.
Sure.
Playoffs.
Nope, that's the wrong one too. There we go. Ding.
The coffee take here.
My small board here. Although, in my humble opinion, caffeinated opinion, dark roast has more flavor.
100% agree.
I'll give you that.
100 P, Nancy.
You know what?
100.
I shared the last one, so we're gonna put that on there. Nancy, I feel
favorite dark coffee. I'm a grog guy. I like the Highland grog stuff. Yeah,
in my veins, and I know that's. But yeah, I could drink grog until like I pass out. I don't know if you can do that, but I
think that's the opposite. What happens if you drink a bunch of grog? But yeah,
I think maybe you go full circle though, right? Like you go so far that like you pass out.
Right, okay.
I'm guessing. Anyway, so like I was saying, tomorrow night the Vancouver Canucks resurrect the skate jersey, not just the skate jersey, the skate helmets and the skate goalie mask and the freaking Kirk McLean.
I think that's rad. So I think all of that's rad. I don't want them to do it against the Flames.
I do.
Like the Canucks have a history, and you know about what I'm talking about right now.
I do.
The Canucks have a history of releasing redos on jerseys or third jerseys or cool jerseys or rad jerseys versus teams. They get shit stomped versus. Right. And then the jersey is then looked at as a losing jersey and they don't ever use it again.
Right.
So I'm sure that won't happen in Canuckland, but and it will look good versus those like, if those Flames use those retro whites or something like that, it'll look really
And
good.
I hope they do.
Right,
Just for the
a la Mike
nostalgia.
Vernon versus Kirk McLean. Like that would look really cool.
Yeah, and maybe we get like a sweet pass in overtime from like PD to Bess or something like that. Feeds him up, does a little deke.
Yeah, it would be cool
or
to
Miller.
see.
It'd be Miller. It would
to
be.
see like Podkolzin go end to end or something like that and burn him like Bure style.
And I mean, if he's in there, I mean, Bure is probably a stretch for him because he's a young buck, right? Like Ovi is like his hero, I would assume.
I'm sure all those guys, yeah.
So like he's probably not quite there. He's probably YouTubing Pavel, but it probably maybe Pavel is a lot bigger than we're giving him credit. I would assume. Again, also that's probably true. But you're right. They're to resurrect it, and they do have a horrible past with the Millionaires jersey times 2. They've got what are the other ones that they've got? The
reverse retros were bad. Like the old gradient whale jerseys were
lots
bad.
of them, right? So, and I think what happened last year when he was still here, like Jim Benning, like everybody knew like the skate was coming back, and he was there. And guys, I get that you guys don't like the skate jersey. It's dark and it's kind of aggressive. I like the blue and green one. It's like the Sprite, and I love Sprite. Like Grant Hill loves Sprite.
I like this like southern accent that you've applied to it too all of a sudden.
I like that Grant Hill, but I was more of a Mavericks fan growing up, and I just think that we shouldn't have gone to those skate jerseys. So we can only have so many jerseys, and it costs us money for our equipment guys. And I think
he didn't have anything to do with them not going with the skate jerseys. Like there's some pretty big league implications to make that happen too, right?
I know they didn't have to make that work,
right?
But now like Rutherford is all in on this, and there's heavy rumor. I like the voice sounded better in my head when I pre-did this. You do a way better Jim Benning, so if you can at some point bring that back, that was great. It sounds like the Canucks are going to use that as their official third next season, which I'm happy with.
Yeah.
And the thing is,
and you called that shit like a while back.
Oh, I said they had to because it's an easy move, and it's not like this isn't like a hot take. It isn't, because they've been teasing this for a couple of years. They teased it when they brought back the Adidas jersey, and then they threw it out there. Remember when Vertanen was still on the team, and Bo, like this was still a few years ago. And then when it did become like that fourth jersey or whatever it was, so it was there, and you and I both know how it works for jerseys. Like it has to be signed off like well in advance, all that kind of stuff, right? We've lived that world where what all the jerseys are going to be worn
terrible
in like February. It's
yeah,
but
it's a humongous pain in the ass.
Oh, it is. It's stupid. Yeah. So it sounds like if that is their third, they'd obviously be nixing the stick jersey, the pajamas. I would assume.
And I like that jersey, if we're being honest.
It's not bad. Yeah. Once you see it on the ice, it actually looks pretty sharp.
Yeah.
So again, kind of sad, but I guess they're doing reverse retro again next year. So maybe they do like the V this time. I don't know. But
yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see a McLean kit come out. Like we saw Demko warming up with that leather blocker, like the brown leather blocker with the yellow and orange straps on the back of the glove, and the all black Vons. And even that, just like up in that poster up on your wall behind you, right? It's going to be classic looking Kirk McLean, and I'm stoked for that. Stoked. I haven't seen the glove yet. I'm hoping that the inside of the glove is that brown too, right? Like he goes all the way back, but
yeah.
Demko has a history of coming out with just phenomenal looking setups, and they haven't been as strong since he made the switch. But even the mask is nice, right?
The Mayan mask, though, the new Mayan mask. Have you seen that one?
Is it Mayan?
Or it doesn't have like the Mayan.
It almost looks Viking. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't like it. Now I'm picky because I love goalie masks, and like I am okay with changes. I think it doesn't feel like him.
Well, that was always such a fun part of Lou's game. He'd have like 5 or 6 masks. Remember?
Do I?
And they all looked so good. So
yeah,
I know what you're talking about.
Like when you're picking apart Luongo's like mask games because he has that many. Like, well, like maybe go back to this one. Like you have too many to choose from. So,
I can't wait. Honestly, I think it's a long time coming. I don't know why Vancouver as an organization has worked so hard to escape that. I'm not sure. I mean, it's what the fans want, right? It was like the Jets coming back in saying they're getting a team again.
Yeah.
But we might not call it the Jets. And there's just like the city revolted, right? I mean,
like,
you remember what that was like.
Sure? Because that's the only option.
Why don't you actually just, give us what we want?
Yeah. Here's what I think.
What do we know? We're only the fans. We're only buying this stuff, right? It's only what we've been clamoring for forever. And I know a lot of it is
out of the park with the logo. Like they crushed it.
They did great. I mean, league perception of that jersey, I get, is probably not that great. I like the color scheme. The logo is just average, but it doesn't mean average because that's not what it is for me. It's so much more than that, right? So it's a
checked all the other
thing,
boxes.
Obviously.
They checked all the other boxes. So you know what? Like if the logo was like a 7 out of 10, you hit 10s everywhere else. You just you understood the assignment. You're like, well, this might be not the best thing we can do, but you know what? We'll bring back a retro and everyone will be fine. And that's what it is. That's how jerseys and all that work. So I am very excited to see the Calgary Canucks play the Vancouver Canucks tomorrow. It'll be a lot of fun. Now, I have a question here, and feel free to answer this honestly, because, I mean, like you would do any other. When do the Canucks pull a Calgary and take a bunch of another team's good players? And then the second question is, when did the Flames become like the it team? Like, maybe let's answer the first one. When are the Canucks going to pull the Flames and actually get all these good players from someone else, like not Florida? But because Calgary, like a couple of years ago, they had Milan Lucic and we laughed. This is stupid. It's not going to work out. Then they go and get Tanev and Markstrom. We're like, all right. Like they had Gaudreau and they had Tkachuk. And now you look at this team. I mean, they're rolling.
Oh, yeah.
Like they are unstoppable. Yeah, they'll eventually lose. But who cares? I mean, big deal. It's a streak. Whoop-de-doo. That's fun while it lasts. They are rolling. And, I mean, what a time to start, too. Like, they're dangerous. They're going to be buyers.
Yeah, and so they should be. I mean, the Flames have a legitimate chance to win the Stanley Cup this year.
Does that, like, kill you to say that? It's true, though.
It's painful. If the Flames win the cup, as Canuck fans, we'll just never hear the end of it. Like I thank God that I don't work at a sports retail store anymore.
And there's one person I can think of that locally, you and I both know, that came into the store, right?
Oh yeah,
our buddy Doug.
Yeah, old Dougie, Happy. There's a couple of guys, right? I mean,
Happy. He was Montreal
Flames. I mean, anybody but Canucks, right? He was an ABC fan.
Right. Shout out.
Yeah, I mean that team put it all together when they did what the Oilers haven't done for the last 4 or 5 years, right?
You got it.
They shored up their defensive pairings with a stabilizing force and a guy like Chris Tanev, who the whole league knew was able to play important minutes for basically the duration of his career, save for a season and a half of bad times in Vancouver when he started to regress.
Mm-hmm.
And it's no secret that Mike Smith goes away from a place like Calgary and they replace him with a quality goaltender like Jacob Markstrom, and the team starts to do well. I mean, I know that there's many other good pieces, there's all sorts of good core pieces there. There's all sorts of good core pieces in Vancouver, right? But there's a bunch of other stuff that's wrong with Vancouver. And there's other stuff that's wrong with Edmonton. But if Edmonton just shored up their defense a little bit and got a goalie that could stop the puck, Edmonton would be a playoff team too, right? But Calgary was already a good team, and they fixed their D, and they boy, did they ever fix their goaltending. I mean, we're talking about a guy like Thatcher Demko who looks all world right now. And the goalie that we let go so that he could replace him could win the Vezina this year. Like, that's how good of a season Markstrom is having.
A guy that freaking went through waivers.
Yeah.
Jake Mark,
it's lunacy, right?
Can you imagine, like, you just got him for free? No.
Yeah.
He signed as a free agent. Like, people have to look at that and think, what were we thinking passing up on this guy?
And he can thank the Canucks and goaltending coaches for the complete turnaround in his game. And one thing that one thing that Jacob Markstrom always had was that pedigree, right?
Sure.
So I mean, they helped him put that together. He's obviously a workhorse, and
He'll play every game. He
deserves
has
it.
like Kiprusoff numbers.
Yeah, and he deserves it. So I'm happy for them, but at the same time, it's like God.
So here's my second. I know it kills me because, and you're not even. The thing is, we're not even being force fed it. I don't think. Like if this was the Leafs, you would know about it from every single angle possible.
Oh yeah, and now we're talking about possibility of JT Miller heading there, right? I mean,
but like you look at Calgary, and it's funny because they're not getting, like, everyone's aware that they're on a 10-game streak, and maybe I'm just not paying attention enough. But it's not like it's being overblown to the point like, are you guys paying attention to Calgary? Like we are. I mean, again, half the team.
And maybe the rest of the league isn't either, because it's that whole, they suffer from the same West Coast thing that we do, right?
Sure. I guess here's another question that I'll add on, because I do wonder when the Canucks will be that team. But do you think, based on what we know about Jacob Markstrom and the workload, do you think he burns out?
No.
You don't think so? You think he is hot hand?
I think he's fine. I think he got so used to just playing like heavy minutes in Vancouver. Like, I know that Demko was there, and there was seasons that other backup goaltenders were in town too that took games.
Right.
You know, when he was transitioning into taking over that role.
Yeah.
But I think the amount of rubber and the amount of tough minutes that he saw in Vancouver over that time, I think really, it's probably really, I know it would have prepared anybody for what's ahead.
Defense?
And I think that's where I'm going with this point. It's like he was so used to preparing himself mentally and preparing his body and what it took to be a high-end professional, that when he went to Calgary, that team is just so much better defensively that he's not having to play or be abused with those hard minutes anymore, right? I mean, it's like being an all-world or talented, super talented F1 driver, but if your team is shit and they can't put a good car together for you, it's going to break down. You can't complete races.
Right.
Whereas if you end up in Mercedes or something like that, and
you have every possible advantage.
You have everything, right? You have all those things that you've been sort of pining over to have in your possession so that you can put together that elite level season, and it's there for him. Yeah, and he's got 10 shutouts. I mean, that's the proof is in the pudding, right? I mean,
and he's going to have at least 3 more.
At least. Yeah.
And
for a guy that was tough for him to buy. Do you remember how long we were talking about the non-shutout streak for Markstrom?
Yes. Yeah.
Right? I mean,
like,
it wasn't that long ago.
Like, let's erect a statue. I'm going to do here's a drink break.
So yeah, it'll be exciting when those guys come, just to see them again. I think it'll be their first game in Rogers Arena. Maybe not. First game was fans.
With fans anyway.
So standing O for those guys. Standing O for Markstrom, not for Toffoli, but for Tanev. They're probably going to lump all three in, and then we're just going to give a standing O. But the standing O is not for Toffoli. It's for
Speaking
Tanev
of standing O, let's do a insert ad read for our buddies at Move Health and Wellness. So anyway, staying with the Calgary Flames, and I was watching the Seattle Kraken the other day, which is kind of fun to say. You know, it gives me the nice feels. It makes me feel like there's another team, and at some point I think in my head, I can go see these guys. I can eventually go to Seattle and watch an NHL game, and I actually don't even care who they're playing, but I would be excited to be there, and that makes me feel good. You know what I'm thinking, though? I was saying this, my dad and I were chatting about this. You know what's going to happen at the trade deadline?
The Kraken are going to sell.
Absolutely. And you know who they're going to sell, first and foremost. Because it's their first season, and you don't get attached 100%. And hey, a first-round draft pick looks pretty sharp. I think Calgary's got a first-rounder. Or a second or whatever. You know Gio's going back to Calgary.
You think Gio goes back to Calgary for a first?
Man, I'm not saying a first. And like I did backtrack on that. Maybe it's a second or a prospect, whatever it is. They're going to get some capital back so that Seattle can continue to build, because clearly they didn't do the greatest job. And Gio gets to go on a playoff run. And like he's plug and play. They know exactly what they're getting out of him, and now you have an all-star defenseman. And I haven't looked at his numbers, but I'm assuming Norris numbers still. And you plug and play him on a team that is already rolling. And by the time they hit the playoffs, now you've got it's like that Canucks thing where you go and you just add that one more player, and they'll probably add a forward as well. But you add that one more player, and we were ready. This is going to allow us to go that much further in the playoffs. And I mean, could you see them, maybe against like a team, and I don't know if they get that far, but like a team like Colorado, like maybe Rocky Mountain Rumble?
I mean,
TM?
Yeah. I mean, that's going to be a tough team to beat. So looking at Giordano's stats, he's got 5 goals, 17 assists.
Okay, so not Norris numbers.
22 points. I don't have the underlying stats here, but
he's also playing for Seattle.
It's minus 20 on a team with goalies that can't stop the puck.
Right.
So yeah, I mean that's actually not a bad team in Seattle. I mean, everybody's like shitting on them because they look like a bad team in the stats
and we're all
department.
Expecting them to be Vegas, and they're not.
Well, that was fool.
It is, but that's the mentality, right?
You're right, though. Yeah, I mean, they look more like a true expansion team, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, they're a pretty solid team. Like they just don't have a goalie that can stop the puck, and they look generally pretty slow. So, like, I could see them moving a Giordano. I mean, he's 38 years old. You probably wouldn't have to pay that much for him. He's not cheap, right? Maybe like an Alexiak goes. They got some big bodies on that squad. Like, I think there'd be some guys that might succeed in sort of a mucked up, bogged down playoff format.
Sure.
But they looked, I mean, it sounds strange to say it, but they looked slow versus Vancouver, though, in that last game.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, to look slow against Vancouver, too. Like,
yeah.
Ooh.
But
I like that idea. That could be a fun idea. I like that idea.
I think they will be sellers. And again, because you're in year one, you're not selling a lot, and you're probably like they've got.
What else did you build that team for? You didn't. You had full opportunity to build the Vegas version of that team,
or at least
you could have taken Tarasenko and you could have taken Carey Price.
Yeah, they made some mistakes for sure.
Well, not some mistakes, but they were going to be like, we're going to build, to acquire assets for the future. So you did that. That was phase 1. This is phase 2, and now it's time to sell off, right?
Yeah, which is fine.
And they're not in a position where they're hunting for a playoff spot, so there shouldn't be any incentive to want to hang on to those guys. So
no, and I mean he's the captain because you need a captain
for like a minute.
But I mean you don't need a captain, but you know what I mean. Yeah. So yeah, I think they're going to be sellers, and I don't know what else they move off. But I mean, there are a few pieces. I mean, again, a guy like Eberle could be a nice little fit as well. Like, another player, wouldn't that be something to see Jordan Eberle on the Calgary Flames?
I don't think they want to. Yeah, I don't think they want to get rid of Yanni Gourde. Would be. I mean, there'd be lots of teams that'd be happy to go after a Gourde, right? I mean, a playoff experience. The guy's like a gritty small forward. I mean, Jordan Eberle, I think would be these are all guys that are a little bit older, into late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah.
But Eberle would be, some secondary scoring on a squad. I mean, a guy if we're talking about a guy like Tyler Mott having trade value, then for sure a guy like Brandon Tanev has trade value.
Totally.
Yeah.
Esther Alone's worth like a third round. There's the moment of the night. Let's a couple questions from Twitter. Our good buddy Steve Fisher from the Ballhawks podcast. In 5 words or less, describe your Starbucks experience yesterday. So I gave you the long-winded version. So in 5 words or less, that was so messed up. I think that's as easy as I can get it without. I mean, I could probably think of a bunch of words, but again, just what are you thinking? Who orders something like that? It's scary. It makes now. Here's the other thing. This is what I was.
Could do coffee with your extra sugar.
that works too. So I got home and I said to Christine, I'm like, you know what's frightening? What if their kid goes to our kid's school? That parent is among us. That crazy person is among us.
It's probably that little puke kid, that little shit. It's going to date your daughter.
That's Like, oh yeah,
you'll know because You'll go over to meet his folks, right? Because your daughter has started dating him, and then she'll serve you coffee. And you'll watch her put 5 pumps of whatever into her coffee, and then you're just
7 because you're at home and it's free. It's frightening. It's frightening.
Terrifying.
Another question here. Our good buddy Kyle at 20 cap. What does that
20
mean?
cap?
What does that mean?
No idea. It's probably like a Blue Jays reference. I'm not sure.
Probably.
To ask him.
Oh man, Freddie Freeman. Hope he comes. I get that JT Miller is one of the best performing Canuck players today, but he's going to be into his 30s on a pricier contract by the time they're contending. Is the we want to keep him talk a ruse, or are the Canucks planning on stepping on another rake? I think, Kyle, that's a great question. I think you're smart enough to know that the management in place now is not the former. It is not Jim Benning, and what does he do? John Weisbrod. I do hope that they're smart enough people to realize that there is massive value there. And I think based on what we're seeing online and essentially what they've said is, I mean, the original thing was they're going to kind of hold tight, get all the offers in, and then maybe do something as the deadline approaches once they see everybody's offer. So you'd be stupid to think that they're just going to do nothing. But at the same time, we'd be smart enough to think that they may not do anything. JT Miller is a great asset, and you're absolutely right. To see him in the 30s, which sucks to say, because I mean, he's still going to produce for another couple of years. But yeah, you're going to get into your 30s, and that's when things start to regress. And right now, you've never seen, like, the Canucks haven't been in this position in a long time to have a guy that is, he's not overperforming, but he is performing to what somebody could plug and play. I've said that phrase already, but you can put him on a contending team, on a second line. Maybe there is a team that maybe just needs that guy on the first line, but you can have him for sure on a second line, and he's going to produce. And he may not matter in the first round. Maybe he doesn't even matter in the second round, but he's the kind of guy that he could be your Ryan Kessler kind of player in like a second or third round that, you know, maybe one of your stars isn't firing on all cylinders, but you've got a guy that instantly takes over for that. So when they do figure it out again, you've got another guy that's going to absolutely just crush the further you go in the playoffs. So that's my 2 cents. What do you think?
Yeah, like he can play on any team in this league.
Any team
right now, any team in this league, and make an impact, right? I mean, I'm trying to think of a team that just has like 2 elite centers, and I don't want it to be Pittsburgh because that always comes to mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could find a spot for JT Miller on any contending team, any one of them.
Totally.
And that's just contending teams. But like, if we include all playoff teams, there's a spot for JT Miller on any one of those playoff teams. And it could push playoff teams that are just good teams into a contender spot. It could put contending teams over the top. Like he's that much of an impactful player right now, playing on a team that isn't that good.
Mm-hmm.
So, geez, imagine when the guy has something to play for. So,
absolutely. And he's killing it right now, and he looks like he's killing it. Like, you get that vibe. Like, he'd run through a wall for you right now. And they're
he's scary. Like, yeah. I mean,
caught you.
There's a kid popping across the screen there. Now she's looking in the screen.
That happens.
Yeah, I mean, I this organization has just done so many foolish things over the last couple of years. Couple of years? Yeah. Did I mean to say couple of years? I actually meant to say the last like 8 or 9 years.
Yeah, close to a decade.
So I mean, I think the right core is in place here. That I can't see that many people making a mistake. Like there has to be some loud voices in the room saying, "Guys, like this can't happen. We can't move forward with this again," right? And it wouldn't shock me to see them move past this trade deadline without moving him.
Again, he doesn't have to move this year.
But that would mean that they're getting hosed on all their deals.
Right.
I mean, it means, and I can't.
They're not in the position to burn someone.
Yeah, I can't foresee Rutherford with all the connections that he's acquired and amassed over the last like 30 years.
Yeah.
Not have something cooking on the back burner. So I do think it is a ruse. I think it's of course they have to talk the good game and say that, yeah, we want him here.
You don't show your hand. This isn't Jim Benning.
Who the good thing is like, okay, Kyle talked about the fact that he's going to be in his early 30s as the Canucks begin to compete again. And he's right. And I think that, JT, if he goes to free agency, is going to get a massive contract. And it could be looking at something like 5, 6 years or 7 years or whatever. But he's going to be productive into his like 32, 33 season, I would think. Just the type of game that he's not a burner.
Right.
I mean, he did go end to end on some guys, right? But he's not traditionally a burner, but he's a strong down low place. He's a smart, sort of unpredictable, savvy player. He's got a hockey brain. So somebody who signs him to this contract is going to get some value out of those first 4 or 5 years, 4 years probably. So it's not like it's a complete loss. And if it's next year when he's 29, then he's moved. But I don't want that. I would just prefer to see him moved now, where they just capitalize on max value. And I don't know who that team is that has to pony up for him.
You're right.
But you got to pony up to get, to me, the best asset, a best available asset in the league, period.
I think there is enough teams this season that, I mean, you can probably have an offer like draft day, right? I mean, I'm not saying you go full on like, and we want David Putney. Like, you don't want to go and just like ask for stuff for the sake of asking for stuff. But you can definitely get to the point where, hey, here's the offers that have come in. And you can probably push it to the 11th hour and say, okay, this is who we want to deal with. We want to deal with you, Tampa, or you, Colorado, or you, whoever, right? Or Calgary. Let's just say Calgary. This is what we want. We're going to give them to you, but this is what we want. You guys know where you're at. You make a run. You're in the year to make that proper run and potentially win a Stanley Cup. You and I both know this. Let's make this deal. And he's got enough people around him. He's got a Cami Granato. He's got Emily Castonguay. He's got
it's got to be some loud voices in that room, right?
Oh yeah. There's smart voices too, right? Like there's a good group, Patrick Alvin. Like they're all gonna be there and know what they have. And they're gonna say, this is what we believe we should ask at the end if we don't get what we're looking for. Because someone knows, I mean, you're not gonna have someone offer the overpayment. You have to have the offer and say, okay, this is also what I want. And that's where you're going to find out if it's moving day for JT at the deadline.
Yeah, I think
it'll be a deadline day deal.
Yeah, if there's 4 teams bidding on him.
Yeah,
I always laugh, right? Because I do feel like the New York thing is a bit of a ruse from New York's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I don't know if New York actually is pining and pushing after a player. Like, I mean, maybe, but they probably don't want to pay that much for him. But I always laugh at.
But are the Rangers even going to make a run? Like, is that worth it?
I don't know.
Probably not.
I mean, Shesterkin's ridiculous.
Stanley Cup ridiculous?
Yeah, he's ridiculous. He's that good.
Okay.
But I think so. But I always laugh at the fan tweets and the fan forum because, we theorize trade, who we want back, right? And every time you see, Tampa Bay fans or, Toronto fans or New York fans, it's always like they can have the first.
The Raymond Ballard.
They don't get any of our top 2 or 3 prospects.
Yeah.
And they have to take salary back.
Yeah.
Like all these just like out to lunch fans, and Canuck fans are out to lunch too. When
we're the same way. Raymond
Ballard, a harsh overvalue. Yeah, Raymond Ballard in a second, right?
Mm-hmm.
Same thing.
We know the deal.
Like nobody wants your garbage.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not trying to no. So it's always funny, and I like to see, what happens when it happens, if it eventually happens. But there's the JT talk. There's been a ton of Bo talk lately, which is super weird.
I don't think you can.
Yeah, and around we go, right?
Yeah, and I mean Besser's obviously linked in there, so
Besser, Mott. I mean, you got Burrows and Shen. You got, I mean, there's a bunch of guys who I feel like have no trade clauses, even though they don't, because they're either just performing so shitty,
yeah,
or have just priced themselves out, right? I mean,
so
they're gonna have to play through with continually shitty players next year too, which is why this team isn't going to be ready to compete next year either.
Do you think that based on like the buzzwords like core 4, and we'll get to dudes and guys in a second, do you think the core 4 has been redefined yet of who those 4 guys are? Because I think so. And I guess
it's
a bit of a stretch. I'm going to say
because Miller isn't going to be part of the core 4. Is that Is that what you're building?
Was he in that
core
core
on?
four though? I don't think he was in the core four.
It's funny because he's their best player, but yeah.
I know. But I also think even though he's their best player, he's not like core is like the core. Like you can't break from that. Like,
can we say that it's been?
Oh, the best players are different. The best players are different.
No, but the original, the OG core four, the one that everybody started talking about a few years back, can we say that it's been, it was probably Bo, Besser, EP, and Hughes back like 2-3 years ago.
Stage one.
And like one of those guys is out now.
Yeah.
And Demko's in.
Yeah.
So who is it? Is it Horvat that's out? Is it Besser that's out?
So honestly, if I were to look at it right now, I'd say it's Hughes, Demko, Pettersson, and Podkolzin.
Interesting.
And I know that's a bit of a stretch, and I want to make sure we have enough time for dudes and guys. But Podkolzin, he hasn't been like a guy to me that's like, it's not immediately there, but it's almost like you can see that the progression of what he's done since he's gotten here and how he's maturing, like as the games go by. Like there's just bits and pieces where like there's nothing that's like super flashy, but it's like he'll do that one really good thing, and then he'll put it together with just like the bump and grind, like a 200-foot game, and then he's got a few other things like, oh right, and it's not like it doesn't stand out to the point where like superstar kind of stuff, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like the flashy end-to-enders or whatever. But he does a lot of these other things, and I think he's just one of those guys that I really do wonder, like, are we like massively sleeping on Podkolzin right now? And to the point where, and again, I'm saying core four, like this is like ride or die. If we had to blow it all up and we got a bunch of cool stuff, I don't know. I think maybe he's one of those guys. And because we're using the term core four, I mean, is Bo Horvat in there? Is Brock Besser in that? I mean, Brock Besser I think is tradable. I love him. I don't have to get into all the reasons why he should stay. But I mean, Podkolzin just feels like the kind of guy, like it's almost like he's like that player that if we do hold on to him, maybe he is all those things that we were hoping Jake Vertana would have been, or what we gave up in Cam Neely, or what we were hoping Todd Bertuzzi would pan out to be for multiple years. Like that kind of mold.
Or what you got because you did hang on to the Twins.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think anybody thought the Twins were going to be as good as they were. There was a lot of hype around them, but I think once they got to the league, people were like, "Okay, we know what they are."
I don't know. Yeah.
Right. But I think the thing you like, and certainly I do too, I think the thing that you like or somebody likes about Podkolzin is even if he's not putting up points and he's not scoring or he's not getting a ton of minutes, like when he's out there, he's like working his ass off.
Yeah.
Like the work rate is there. And it reminds me so much of, it's almost like a winger version of Bo. When Bo first got there, right? It's a very responsible game. You can see that there's potential there, and I don't think the Canucks are interested in giving up on that. I mean, I think they know that they have a player that could represent part of their core moving forward, and to leave that now would be remiss. And if you're going to take,
I'm picking of four guys. Like clearly, Bo's it. Like
I don't think he's there yet. I mean, I don't.
He's not.
But I think he's great. I think he could be a real nice player. And I think if the organization gave that many chances to a guy like Virtanen, then you must for a guy like Podkolzin.
Yeah,
you must. I mean, he's a responsible guy. I mean, he's already married. He's like 20 something. Like it's crazy, right?
He locked it in. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that a guy like Podkolzin can learn a lot from watching a guy like JT Miller. I think he has the ability to play a very, very similar game, right? Except he's probably a harder worker on the defensive side of the puck, right? I mean, but
we said we weren't going to bring him up.
Yeah, I don't think he's core four, and I think that the organization probably believes at this point that there's probably a core five. I don't think they want to trade. I'm going to use Besser's name on that. I don't think they want to trade Besser because I believe that if they walk away from Besser right now, I feel like they know that they're not going to be getting what he's worth, and he's better off playing on their roster than he is for what they would get in trade value for him.
Fair enough. Okay.
So I think that forces him into the core, because if he was barely on the outside looking in, the fact that you would have to take a loss to let something like that go means he is there.
Right.
That's an odd way of thinking about it, but
it is. These are the questions. If you're not seeing games every day and we're not getting flash and dash and there's no trades, like we got to be thinking. You got to be doing something. So let's get into Dudes and Guys, brought to you by Move Health and Wellness. And we have the other song, but this is really quick, so eventually I'll load it up again. It was an interesting week for the Vancouver Canucks. There is some not pretty at all. Some not pretty at all. And then there was some fun, because I mean, they don't suck, but you had to have some kind of a rebound game, and they did that against Seattle, because they definitely didn't do that against Anaheim. It wasn't pretty. Wasn't pretty at all. But you know what? We still picked Dudes and Guys. And I'm going to go with... can I go with guys first? Is that okay? What just happened? Now you went on mute? What just happened there? Did I do something again? You there?
Yeah.
Okay, I got to stop playing around with this. It must mute you. Must mute you if I do. That's weird. It's messed up. We'll have to play with that off camera. The sounds.
I mean, that's on you. You said it.
Yeah, I did. My guy. Ooh, this is bad. Tyler Myers is my guy.
Oh,
what he did against Seattle the other night, inexcusable. Absolute blown coverage. 2-on-1, decides to, I don't even, he Lucas Speza'd himself. It wasn't even, it was such a train wreck. And this is what I guess we come to love about Tyler Myers. But it was you're watching it come down, and as soon as he sprawled out and made a move, blown coverage right to hell. And absolute tap in goal, and he knew that he just got absolutely burnt, because I think he was the one that gave up the puck in the first place, if I'm not mistaken. But just an absolute train wreck. And I mean, Tyler Myers is what he is. But I just I just laughed, and I thought, when you just know something bad's about to happen, that's what happened. And I just thought, nope, you're my guy this week. So Tyler Myers. Sometimes you don't need a reason. In this case, I have a specific one, and especially against Seattle. Come on, you can do better than that. You know what you're being relied on. Just didn't like it. You're my guy of the week,
Tyler Myers.
Yeah.
Okay, guy of the week. I feel bad just picking out Jason Dickinson's name all the time.
No, he's been sucky.
But he's real bad.
He hasn't been. He's been really bad.
He's real bad. He's probably not a bad hockey player, obviously. But for whatever reason, he's not really clicking here. It just looks. It's a really bad look. It's just so disjointed. He looks like a fourth line winger.
Like an interchangeable fourth line winger.
Yeah, a good
someone. He's your 13th forward.
And it's crazy because you see him out there. He skates well. He's got some size. He's fairly physical in the corners. I think obviously he's been a little bit unlucky shooting, but he's not an offensive player as it is. But it just seems like he's going through the motions right now. Before it was oh, he's fighting and he's really fighting it, but he's fighting, right? But now it just seems like it's just been mailed in completely. Yeah. And I don't think that he's I don't think he's mailed it in. I think he wants to play well, and I think he's out there working hard. But that's where we are now, right? It looks like it's not that clicking. Bad.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to see them go through another failed experiment. I think it's very, very obvious that he's not.
It is a failed experiment, though.
He's not going to be your Manny Malhotra.
No, that's a high bar, though.
It is a high bar, right? I mean,
he was so niche, right?
Sammy Paulson, he's not going to be. You're not going to be. You're not even freaking what's his face, the French guy that was such Lapierre. An asshole. Yeah, Maxime Lapierre. You're not even Lapierre good, right? I mean, he's physically a more gifted player than Lapierre, but there's nothing there that I see that suggests to me that he's going to be able to take over that third line spot and continue to take heat off of Bo.
Mm-hmm.
And so
it's like a false bill of goods, like from the start of it.
Yeah. So please go. And I don't think the Canucks can just get rid of a player like that either, because his contract doesn't dictate it. And who on earth is going to want to take him back, right? I mean,
Seattle.
Yeah, maybe Dallas, because for some reason they were able to extract a lot out of him and figure out how to use him. And watching him in Dallas, and he was a good player. Like,
yeah,
I was so excited to see that they had got, and maybe the Canucks wrecked him. I don't know.
It's such a funk though. Like again, we were all excited. I think we talked about in the offseason, like, I think this is going to be a good addition. And it has just been like a colossal funk.
All signs point to yes. That was what the Demko, that was what the Dickinson signing was.
Yeah.
This is a phenomenal move. Wow. Jimbo really outdid himself on this. This is a very smart move.
Like, it was right about now, Funk Soul Brother, and we just got the funk part.
Yeah, it's been all funk.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
good call.
I feel bad, but yeah, Dickinson.
Time to flip the script, baby. Time for the dudes. And you know who my dude is. You know. You know why you know? Because I threw down the gauntlet for said player last week, and I called out that bump, and it worked again. My dude of the week, folks, Connor Garland. 2 goals and an assist, and they look good, and he looked effective. I said he was doing all the other things. He had the flash and dash, and I know Daniel said, oh, he looked great. He did look great last week leading into that show, but I wanted to see the stats, because that is what they brought in Connor Garland. Like, you can't, any player that you want to be of value, that you want to move along and get to a Stanley Cup, and you want guys to be scoring. You want guys to be actual output. Like, it can't just be the advanced stats. And all those things are great, but you do need the actual goals and assists. And a guy like Connor Garland did a lot of things very well, but he needed the points, and I'm very, very happy that he did what he did. So thank you so much, Connor Garland, for stepping back into the limelight, and I cannot wait to see you in that skate jersey tomorrow night. Connor Garland, Ryan's dude of the week. I don't know. What
I like it. You called it. I don't.
Yeah, I don't even know what is this person. I don't get it.
Is
there a joke I missed?
That Murr from Impractical Jokers. I mean, the Murr, that was the dating episode from Impractical Jokers, right? I don't know what we said though.
I must have said something.
This is from a question. Anybody that's wondering,
I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah, you'd have to elaborate. Maybe give us more context.
I'm slow, and I will answer your question honestly, but I missed something. Anyway, who's your dude?
If I could name a single dude, well, there's lots of opportunity. There's the secret puck disappearing.
What was with that?
That was super weird and very dude-like. So my kid just like bolting by. So
you know what it makes it? If you're watching on the actual live stream,
like when you duck, it's I can't see you if you're ducking, but you're not ducking behind anything. It's
like when you like run in front of people, like like when you do the duck thing, when like, you're still in the way.
Yeah, you're still in my shot.
In the way. Yeah,
like, it's when they're taking a picture, right? And then the duck. Now you're just ducking in my photo. It would have been better if you're standing there,
or like the half run across the sidewalk. Like, I'm gonna half hurry. If you were really serious, you would bolt across.
Yeah, so that's my kid walking by the shot. So that would be a fun one to name. Did you see that play? It was a super weird play. There's like six guys digging in the corner, and then the puck just squirts out. Nobody knew where it was. Nobody.
And there's like a 2-on-2 the other way.
It was like an EA Sports, Chell glitch, right?
Yeah.
So, but obviously you can't do that. You can't name the puck, right? The other,
Pro Set did.
Could have named the entire fourth line for the Vancouver Canucks.
Oh man,
in that Kraken game, just giving them absolute fits, right? I mean, that's a fun third line. I think
that's a line you want. Like, that's a playoff or fourth line. That's a
yeah.
playoff.
I think it was
fourth line
the
you want.
Vancast they were talking about. Or maybe it wasn't Vancast. Somebody was talking about the fact that entire fourth line is made up of like Jim Benning Jennison trades. Like,
Oh, jeez.
got rid of so and so to acquire.
Yeah, Vanek and
like, got rid of Vanek to acquire Mott, and like got rid of failed pick in Olio Levy and got Lamico, and then got rid of I can't remember who it is, and got Highmore.
Gaudette. Wasn't it Gaudette?
Oh yeah, got rid of like a skilled offensive guy and got Highmore, like just from Chicago.
But
just like,
you know what though? There's
just
value there.
Yeah, it's fine. They're working out great. I mean, all these I don't want to say scrubs, but
because we don't want no scrubs.
Yeah, no, we don't. Best friends ride, right? I mean, but these guys look great. I mean, they're making the fourth line work. So if I'm going to take a guy off that line, I never thought I would do so. I'm going to take Lamico again.
Isn't that wild?
It's wild.
He's the reigning champion too. I think.
I mean, he's such a fun guy to watch. I mean, he just looks like a total goofball on the bench, and he's not got any teeth. I love it, and he just keeps getting the job done. I mean, I get 100%. I get 100% what Daniel said, Daniel Wagner, on the last episode. Was like, I don't know if he's going to make the next iteration of this team, and I get that. I totally, I understand. But I'm here for right now, and the right here and now is the Juho Lamico show, and like whatever, man. I'm hooked. This is RuPaul's Drag Race, and I don't know why, but I'm watching.
Just ride it like Kramer in the test drive, right? Just ride it until that tank is empty.
Just ride it until you fall asleep and the water goes cold.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You just got it. I love that. And he's just one of those. He's just one of those dudes. He absolutely is. And you just kind of laugh. You're like, I like what's going on here. I shouldn't, but I do. Great. That's absolutely great. Okay, so we're gonna close up, but I have one more thing, and then we're done. I was watching College Jeopardy last night. And because I'm obviously a thespian, and I don't know about you. Are you one of those people that like you watch Jeopardy and you find out how much money you could have made when you know stuff? Like, do you watch Jeopardy at all?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I used to watch a lot of Jeopardy, but
yeah, I don't know. It's just
so much anymore. Yeah.
So like you just watch, like it's just on, especially whenever like when James was on and he made his run or Ken made his run. You just end up watching because you're like, I want to see what this guy can do or this girl can do. And so I'm watching the college final last night, and there was a question that was like the periodic table, which is clearly like I'm a science major, like I took earth science and geology, and they came up. I can't remember what the question was. It didn't really matter, but I said francium, and one of the guys picked francium. That's what it was. Now, because you guys are so well aware of the periodic table, francium, most people don't even know it's on there. But it was the one thing I remembered from school way back when in like high school, middle school. I can't even remember. So francium is the most unstable element on the periodic table. And at any given time on planet Earth's crest, there is like 0.24, and I can't, not even in grams, like 0.24 or whatever, of like in existence at any point in while we're living on planet Earth. And it was just one of those things like it's a radioactive element or whatever. And I thought that was like the coolest thing when I was in high school. I'm like, man, wouldn't that be crazy if like we could get like a hold of like you couldn't. And then this came up, and like I went in the Wayback Machine, and I'm like freaking out. Said to Christy, I'm like, I know that. And she's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like going off. And then because Mayim Balak is the host right now, so they brought it up. And so I'm like reeling off like these random stats about an element that who cares? Like this is the most pointless part of the show, clearly. So I go and I Google it just to show her. I'm like, see, look at this. Francium, most unstable element. And again, 0.2. And she just looks at me like in like, this means nothing to anything. And I'm freaking riding high on this. And it was like the highlight of my day, which is really sad. I started bringing that up. I
good, man. We always used to back at JC, right? We would play Jeopardy, during the closing shift. It was like Thursday night or Wednesday night. I can't remember what it was.
Sure. Yeah.
And so like during Final Jeopardy, like somebody would call in, like we'd have one of the guys who wasn't working call in, and we'd all blurt out
the answer,
right? Just what we thought it was, and very rarely was anybody right. But that was the rule, right? We were watching Jeopardy. Like any question that came up, you had to answer, no matter what. Like just blurt out an answer. It could be anything.
Yeah.
And the amount of times that you were right, just picking complete random shit was actually pretty comical.
So this was one for me, just again, like of
so you didn't know, you just blurted it out though?
Well, they were like, what element? And I don't think I answered it, but I saw like the first guy said, wasn't helium. One guy answered, and then, or no, the first person said francium, then the next person got it right, and then the second person third person got it right. But as soon as I saw francium, I'm like, I don't even care what the question was. I knew it was periodic table, and like I just went off on it. It was just one of those moments where francium
was way off.
He was, because that person got it wrong and lost. So it was kind of fun. It was my moment of the day, and I figured everybody cares. Everyone cares here because this is a safe space. Because the world is a little bit crazy around us right now, and as I said before we started, we just need to have a little bit of fun because reality sucks sometimes. So,
truth.
This has been a pretty fun. We didn't talk a lot of Canucks, but I feel we got a lot of decent content here.
Yeah,
a lot of good chat, a lot of meat and solid
like
potato.
Wallpaper.
Yeah. So tomorrow night, when you're watching the Canucks game, or tonight, if you listen Thursday,
Myrrh. I got it. I figured it out.
Okay.
Myrrh from Impractical Jokers. He's saying he looks like me. He's saying I look like Myrrh from Impractical Jokers.
Okay, I don't know.
I can see the resemblance with the haircut. Maybe that's why.
James Matt Murr. Okay, I'm gonna have to click that when we're done because I don't want to lose our link for some reason.
It's all good.
So thanks for coming by, folks. Make sure you do like us on Spotify, and Ted, make sure you put that on Instagram so that people can do that.
I think it's pronounced
Instantgram. Follow us on Apple Podcasts. We're on Google as well. Thanks for hosting us on the Dean Blundell Network. For the people that did come, Nancy, thanks for the coffee chat. That was a lot of fun. And you guys, this is I don't know. We're getting into the crazy times for the hockey season, so let's enjoy it. Let's be fun. Let's enjoy this. Skate jersey, rock and roll.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about. Oh yeah. PP1 Podcast, the Power Play 1 podcast on the Dean Blundell Network. On behalf of Ted, I'm Ryan. Peace